The setting and but we can work on that.
All right, we've got that going. Hello, Warren.
Everybody,
Okay, we can hear you. We're good to go. Great. So with that, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the town board of the town of Northeast. It is Thursday, November 17th, 2025 at 7 o'clock. Excuse me, November 13th, 2025 at 7 o'clock. And I would like to ask to join in the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God,
God, indivisible.
liberty, and justice. Oh, amen.
He was throwing me off.
Yeah. Okay. Billy, could you please conduct a roll call
Supervisor Kennan,
here?
Councilwoman Morrison,
Here.
Councilman Fideli,
Here.
Councilwoman Winkler,
Here.
and Councilman Mayville.
Here. Thank you. I have distributed an agenda which was posted and the agenda is not changing with the one exception that we have 3 sets of minutes, not one, to approve. But with that, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. Is there any public comment? Anyone wish to make a comment on any of the items on the agenda this time? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. So with some notes. Tonight, we are going to hold a public hearing on the proposed budget for 2026 for the town of Northeast. This is probably the most consequential vote that we take of the year. It is really our most significant action that we take on behalf of the town. So we have spent some time on it. I will have some comments to make about the budget when we get to it. There has been some work underway on our new town hall. The former Jehovah's Witness building on Route 22. At our last meeting, we agreed to retain Land Associates Engineering to help us with both the architecture and the engineering of the building. And I'm playing phone tag with the engineer. I think hopefully tomorrow I will be talking to him and we're gonna get going on that as soon as possible. I have also asked Nick Lopane if he could come across the road and help clean up the site because we didn't do much with it in the way of landscaping or anything else. I've been told that we have some invasives, plants that are growing up underneath the trees out front. This is a perfect time to get rid of them. They're very easy. And so that's something that we're going to be doing. I'm also, I turned my phone off. We are still in a discussion with Suburban Propane about the propane tank that is in the ground. After not hearing from them for quite a while, they decided to send us another bill for the propane tank, which is our tank. And it has a sticker on the side of it saying customer-owned equipment that was put there by Suburban Propane. So I just want to report to the board that I am sticking to our guns on this. This is our propane tank and not theirs. And if they want to show us that documentation that they own it, we're here, but I don't imagine that happening anytime soon. On the highway garage, as you know, the item that has been hanging out there on the highway garage for some time is the lift. We have had CPL, the engineering firm CPL, and the manufacturer of the lift at the site. They brought in three-phase power generator to get the lift working. That didn't work. So they're coming in on Monday. So the good news is that they are showing up, and with the manufacturer, I think they're going to maybe take one of the motors out of the lift and see if there's a problem with the motor. Anyway, I'm somewhat encouraged by the fact that they're coming, and they spent half a day working on it the other day. Another item concerning the new highway garage is that I have received a number of complaints about the lighting of the highway garage. And as a result, I have gone up and looked at it, and I know that some of you have had a chance, have seen it. It is obnoxious. The lights are on all night long, even when the site is locked up. And so I asked Bill Kish, who knows a great deal about lighting, if he would go up there and look at them with me. And so he and I went up and spent a little time up there, and asked him if he had suggestions for how we could, without spending a fortune on doing it, find a way of turning those lights off or dimming them when the site is locked up at night and nobody's in there. I've talked to Bob about it. We do want to have some lights on in there so that it's not just in total darkness. I think the opportunity for motion detectors that would detect if there was somebody walking around in there would be very helpful. Anyway, I'll come back to the board with that, but I just wanted to let you know that it is something that I'd gotten comments on from numerous people. Been working with the Dutchess County Supervisors and Mayors Association on the EMS issues, the ambulance issue. As you know, and this is one of the main things which is driving the increase in our budget for next year. The single one really is the increase in the ambulance cost for the town, not just for the town of Northeast, but for the towns of Menia and Dover. We're all in a contract now with Empress, which bought out Northern Dutchess Paramedics. And I had the opportunity, along with Councilman Mayville and Andrew Stamen, to go visit the 911 center last week. And we spent about 2 hours with Commissioner Bill Beal, who took us all the way around the place. But we also spent a little bit of time talking about the EMS challenge and the challenge, particularly for us here. We have opted to, the town now in our, I think, third contract with a private ambulance company to make sure that people in the town of Northeast have coverage, that there is an ambulance which will arrive if they have the need. There are other towns around us which do not provide anything, which rely on volunteer ambulance crews, which are getting harder and harder to find. I think you all know that the Northeast Fire District maintained an ambulance for a while until they did not have enough paramedics to staff it. And that was some time ago, but that was when the town decided, okay, we're going to contract with Northern Dutchess Paramedics and have the service. So what's been going on is that not just here or in Amenia or Dover, but really around the county, there is a lot of concern about what are we gonna do for ambulance service? Because what's happened here is starting to happen in other towns, which do, for instance, have volunteer ambulance crews, but are facing a reduction in the number of people who can staff them. There are one of the challenges for this is that the provision of EMS services in the county is really varied. We have one type of service. There are towns that have paid fire departments which run ambulances, and they are their own district. So they don't show up on the town's tax bill. It's the fire districts. So it is apples and oranges. And as I said, there are some towns that don't do anything and let their residents just figure it out, call a taxi, hope that something comes over from Hyde Park or Rhinebeck or something like that. Could take half an hour or more to get there. So it is a varied patchwork in the county of the ambulance service. And I've gotten pretty involved in it. We are viewed as the town that has been in the forefront of trying to get a county-wide approach to this. So we have, as I said, we had a meeting of the supervisors and mayors 2 days ago. And the supervisors and mayors had written a letter to the county executive asking for the opportunity to talk with the county about this. The county legislature has also been talking about it. So nothing, in the short term, nothing is going to happen. This year, there's going to be a big increase in our cost for next year. But the conversation is going on, and the town of Northeast is very much in the forefront of that conversation. We wanted just to talk for a second about the zoning review committee. The zoning that the town has, and we'll come to that. We're gonna have, it's on the agenda for this evening. We sent that off to the county, but we have now, Warren has prepared a resolution which you'll have, which confirms that. And we sent it to the county and to the planning board. Last night, the planning board had its first shot at dealing with looking at the zoning and going through 180 pages of changes to the zoning. And they have scheduled another meeting on December 3rd to continue to that review. And we also want to have, we've also talked about zoning to review to continue for the rest of the town. The zoning review that we did was for the commercial district, so it was for the boulevard from CVS to the Connecticut line. We are now going to look at the zoning for the rest of the town. And I've asked Edie Greenwood if she would share that, saddle up again and chair that committee. We do hope that one can take a lot less time than the commercial district, but that is something that is coming up. And lastly, I was been asked to announce that the Climate Smart group is hosting a composting event at Eddie Collins Field, and I think it's on Saturday.
Saturdays from 2 to 5.
Thank you. On Saturday from 2 to 5, which is a pumpkin smash. And it's an opportunity for people to bring their pumpkins, leftover pumpkins. And there's a some kind of a slingshot or a catapult which can propel them, and then they will come apart, and the parts will be collected and all composted. So it's a fun way of looking at composting, and I'm sure it'll be very interesting.
Things will flourish for years.
Yeah,
The field.
okay. With that, I have a budget adjustment. Budget adjustment number 8 for 2025, A fund. An expense increase of $10,739, less an expense decrease of $10,739 for a net of zero. When B fund, an expense increase of $2,422, less an expense decrease of $1,422, less a revenue increase of $1,000 for a net of zero. And in DB fund, an expense increase of $21,620, less an expense decrease of $20,000, less a revenue increase of $1,620 for a net of zero. Could I ask for a motion to approve the budget adjustment?
So,
So move.
Chris,
second,
seconded by Meg. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I have a special abstract dated October 21, 2025. Totaling $13,995.51, broken down as follows. A fund, $3,674.51. Highway fund DB, $10,321. I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the special abstract.
So move.
Ralph,
Second,
seconded by Lana. All in favor?
Aye.
Mhm. There you go. I have an abstract dated November 13th, 2025, totaling $111,624.53, broken down as follows. A fund, $70,865.82. B fund, $11,374.59. DB fund, $21,754.64. Water District SW1, $6,772.50. TNA2 escrow, $580. Payroll TNA, $276.98. I'd ask for a motion to accept the abstract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it is 11/13/25. Hoping my voice holds out for the night. It's questionable. Voucher duty for December will be Lana Morrison and Chris Mayville. And should be noted that Ralph just finished his last voucher duty. We'll ask you later on how that felt. Okay. Department and committee reports. Bob? How are things at the highway garage?
Oh, well, currently we are grinding tree stumps that we created last month, they were during our tree removal, the shared buck truck. And during November, we will be cutting brush and when permitting and taking care of any snow and ice that comes along. The equipment's all ready to go, we have plenty of sand and salt in stock.
Mhm. Have you gotten any long range forecasts for the winter?
No,
But we're well stocked.
was all stock,
All right.
prepared, that's all you can do, be prepared for the worst.
Mhm. All right, well, that's good. And how is the equipment?
Equipment's doing okay,
Mhm.
you know.
All right, and has the village been using the garage to keep the police cars at night?
Have not.
They have not, okay, we signed agreement permitting them to do it, but they know where the garage is, so, you know, it's kind of up to them. All right, assessor,
I don't have anything written out to name that, I just wanna go over a couple things, what goings on in the office this time of year. The big is exemption season has begun, and so we just finally got all of our renewal applications out to seniors and nonprofits as required by law. Ads are not required to be sent out, but to keep myself sane, I send them out, and those are coming up soon, so. It'll start getting busy at my office door soon. The other big thing that goes on this time of year is the state starts their analysis on our last year's roll and what's happening this year in the market conditions. And so they usually give a whisper in my ear with their preliminary data, and they were telling me that we had increased about 15 to 17%. And I looked at them and I said, so I spent the last few weeks demanding their analysis, reviewing and analyzing their analysis, and going back and forth a little bit and have them actually redo most of their work by what I'm seeing. Because after 5 years that we've been trying to stay with the market, we've seen multiple, double-digit increases 1 year and significant increases the other 4 years. I said, there's no way. It's not what I was seeing. And so we did their analysis, and now they're telling me it's more like 5 or 6%. I was like, "Oh, that sounds more like it. Thank you very much."
Thank you.
So it's not final. We're still gonna be working on it, and I'll keep you updated on how that further analysis goes as all the sales pilot and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first good one back for just all Dutchess County, do you think?
Yes, so they analyzed by region, by the county, down by the market area, and then down to the town level. So there's different ways they come about the analysis, but I felt that there's no, I didn't want to go down that path, so I corrected them at the beginning. Let's see where that goes. And then the last thing that's going on is from 2025, we have 2 certiorari cases and 6 small claims review cases. Litigation based, I'll ask for a conversation in executive session later on. That's all I have.
okay. Any questions for the assessor? If not, you mentioned that you do have some certain cases
Yes.
that are in discussion. So in that case, would you like to have an executive session
Yeah,
with the
that'd be
board
great.
for the purpose of discussing those? I would like then to amend the agenda to provide for executive session at the end to discuss pending litigation with the assessor. And I'd like to ask for a motion to approve that amendment to the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. I am keeping my eye on the clock because we have a public hearing starting at 7:30. But we have received reports from Tilly for planning, zoning and building department.
Yes,
And
I wanted to mention that we've received another complaint from Dave Decker about the shooting.
mhm,
That was November 2nd on a Sunday.
okay,
Mhm.
so noted.
Mhm.
And, but the planning, zoning and building department reports have been received.
Hmm.
Town board committee activity. Do we have anything on housing?
No, not really. I mean, the ADU process, I had another person reach out personally to ask questions about how it works, and they're just inquiring for the future. And then I know the one person is definitely moving forward, has been working with our building department to get permits and those
Mhm.
things, so as for where they are in the grant process, I'm not sure yet. And then there's a big gathering for housing surrounding agriculture that's happening next week. And I was gonna go to that, but it was closed out, but now it might be open again, so we'll see. But it's really seems to be a really huge topic for our region, so it's important.
I know there's gonna be a tri-town committee meeting next week. I'm gonna be out of town, but I've already
Yeah, I read that.
emailed Kira
Yeah.
that I'm not gonna be able to be at it. And let's see. I talked about the new town hall and the highway garage. Anything on cemetery? I'm trying to think. Yes, okay, Ralph. you've got-
Finally,
you've got 2 minutes.
October the 25th. Thanks to Jim Campbell. He partnered with George Beneke and David Shapiro. We didn't have any funds left in the Spencer's Corners burying ground, but this was a prime example of volunteerism. We were able to get a group of people together on the 25th of October. And in a matter of 4 hours, we were able to either clean or raise 30 small monuments that day. And one of them was thanks to some item 4 that we got from Bob. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We were able to raise that monument. It's a small one, but it's still heavy. And we did it. So it was done. And of course, the supervisor was there at the beginning. Yep. It was a nice day, and volunteerism does work. So hopefully next year we'll be able to do some more.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment about that, because this is one of those volunteer efforts that very few people will ever see or really appreciate. And of course, the families of those who've been interred, many of them don't live here anymore, are unaware of what's being done. If you drive up to Merwin Road and look at that cemetery, which is on the north side of the road, if you look at the cemetery, it's the monuments and stones that are off to the left, to the west side. They're clustered there,
Right.
and you can really see, you can start to see the difference. And one of the things that when I first saw it, I saw this, all these monuments and stones that are lying, half of them lying which way, and thought, that the cemetery had been vandalized. It hadn't been. It is simply the effect of time. And time.
Ice heaving and
ice
weather
heaving,
heaving.
and decades,
Yeah,
and in some cases centuries go by, and these just start to lean more and more, and eventually they fall over. So it's a wonderful effort, and it was really a big one. There were a lot of people up there, a lot got done. And I really would like to thank Ralph for spearheading this effort. Others have,
well, we ought to thank Jim Campbell. He was the one that really put this all together. Terrific.
Okay, I'm gonna now switch over because we have the budget hearing about to begin. I just want to say that in terms of the budget that we have, there are a number of things which are affecting it. The number one, which I already talked about, is the 36.1% increase in our ambulance costs. Anytime you take something in your budget and you increase it by 36%, it is it's devastating. The ambulance cost for the town is going to go from this year from $511,558 to $696,345 next year. That is the only choice we have. There was no other offer from no other ambulance company for this. The alternative, which was thought about 9 years ago or so, was, just don't have an ambulance and let people figure it out. There are towns around us which have chosen at this point not to do anything about it. And I talked about this earlier. The county is basically saying that's not acceptable. But it's also not acceptable that in our town, which has the lowest population of the 3 towns, Northeast, Amenia, and Dover, that we pay the highest amount for this. So that, when people talk about, well, can you get under the 2% increase, put a 36% increase on one of your items and then try and produce a budget that comes in under 2% is pretty difficult. We have increases in insurance, liability, auto equipment, and buildings, increases in New York State retirement, a 6.5% increase for health insurance. The library put an item on the ballot in the recent election, asking for a $50,000 increase in their income, and that passed. So that is not optional for the town. There's an increase in data processing expense with the change in IT providers. An increase in the garage, the cleaning of the offices in the garage, increase in snow removal. So all of those things have produced the budget that we have. I think we've done the best that we could to try and bring this down, try to be also aware that it has an impact on the village. We hear about, this budget because the residents of the village also pay for it. With that, we have scheduled a hearing on the budget, and I would like to open that hearing. I'd like to ask for a motion to open the public hearing on the town's budget.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The public hearing is open, so if anybody would like to comment on the town's 2026 budget, now is the time to do it. Okay. Not hearing anything on that. Give it another second. If there is no public comment on the budget, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There are 2 things which the town board has not been able to make any changes to the budget. While during the period of time that the public hearing is scheduled until the time of the public hearing. There are 2 changes that I would like to ask board approval of. One is for a light item in the B fund of $5,000 for as our participation in their, I don't know what you want to call it.
the celebration,
Yes, it is what, 250th
250, yeah.
anniversary of the formation of the village. This is really on the village, and it is mostly the village, but they have asked if the town would be involved and can help out, and I think this is a reasonable thing for the town. Village is the center of the town, and I've been asked to organize some volunteer events. I've been asked to organize a fun run. So I guess that's gonna be my part of it, but I would like to provide $5,000 towards that event. It's a small, the actual cost of the event is gonna be a lot bigger than that. And then we are hoping to apply for a New York Forward grant for $4.5 million for the wastewater plant. We looked at it this year. We did not have enough time to pull it together. And I think we frankly need some professional help on that. It's we stand a very good chance of getting this. It is offered in the 7 or 8 counties that form the Mid-Hudson region of New York State EDC. It is a grant with no match requirement, which is something that is unusual with a state match. This is, there's no match. It is $4.5 million would go a long way towards making the wastewater plant actually a reality. We've made a lot of progress on it. We've raised, north of 6 or 7 million so far, all from government grants, federal and state. But in order that it not be a inappropriate and unsupportable cost for the residents of the village who really bear the brunt of it, we need to find further funds. So I would like to retain a grant writer. The village will also pay towards grant writer in next year. But I think that we don't have really very much in our B fund grant line, and I'd like to put $15,000 in that grant line for grant writers. If we don't use it, it goes back into fund balance. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve those 2 changes to the budget.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Okay. Lorna, go do your thing. At this point, Lauren is going upstairs to enter the budget numbers into the state's tax cap calculation. And it has to be done, and it's always it's one of the reasons why it was always difficult when we had our town board meetings at the library annex, because Lorna had to then leave the annex and come over here and enter this data, which has to be done after the public hearing. But we will go on with that. And we'll come back to it. We have a resolution which Warren has prepared to approve the local law zoning amendment. Warren, do you want to explain to us the resolution that you prepared and what we are doing tonight?
Yes, basically you're commencing the local law adoption process for the local law that's been worked on by the town through its zoning revision committee, and then for many months by the town board. So we have sent these documents on before to Dutchess County Planning and to the planning board, so that they get a head start on it, because it's a pretty formidable document. I think it's about 180 pages. Is that right? That sounds right. So we're at a point now where we have the draft zoning law, which has been drafted by our Will Agresta, who was our consultant on this, with the help, of course, of the committee and Edie and everybody else who's worked very hard on this. And we do have a draft environmental assessment form that we have to use when we get to the public hearing near the end of the process to determine whether there are going to be any impacts of the zoning law which require preparation of a draft environmental impact statement. I suspect that we won't have to find that, but we have to go through that process. And we've scheduled the first public hearing for, I think it's January 8th, is that right? At the first town
Yes.
board meeting?
Yes.
So we're actually going to start the public hearing process at a town board meeting where we don't expect that we're going to get through with it. And one of the questions I was going to ask is, I don't know if we're expecting a big turnout and whether we have the capacity here for that meeting, public hearing. Is there any thought to changing it to the library annex?
We could talk to the library and find out if the annex is available on that night. And we will probably get some kind of idea because we will obviously notice the fact of the public hearing. We will be noticing that, right away and posting it on the website, and I think we'll be able to get a sense of what kind of numbers we are going to be dealing with. It certainly would be appropriate if they are, large numbers, to move it to the library annex. If it's free, it's not a problem, and we've done it before there, and we can do that very easily.
I do anticipate we'll have at least one more, maybe two more public hearings, and depending on the input we get from the public, but we're going to try to start the process at a regular town board meeting. And copies of the zoning law and the part one of the full environmental assessment form will be available at the town clerk's office during regular business hours. And we're also making a copy available at the public library. And it will be, notices will be posted on our official board. And those documents will also be posted on our website. So there'll be a lot of opportunity for the public to familiarize themselves with the local law. And what is it, 7:05? I am anticipating that
I
we'll
think
start.
you put that down as 7:05, so I think what I was thinking was that we would just start with the public hearing. And take the public hearing as long as we could, and then go into the regular board meeting after we close the public hearing. We might, in fact, I would ask you this, we might not close the public hearing so that we could continue it. Can we just adjourn it and hold it open
Yes,
to a subsequent meeting?
yeah, we can certainly do that. That's not a problem. Depending on the feedback we get, we may want to schedule for another venue if we have the first meeting at the town hall. We'll see what happens. So we're all set to go on this. It's pretty exciting.
Okay, so we have a resolution commencing the local law adoption process. And we can have this read into the record at this time.
You want me to read it?
Tilly,
Okay,
could you read this
yes.
resolution?
Resolution commencing the local law adoption process for local law number of the town of Northeast, which enacts certain amendments to the Northeast zoning code and map. Whereas the Town and Zoning Review Committee of the Town of Northeast have been working for over 4 years on certain amendments to the Town of Northeast zoning code, which primarily focuses on provisions relating to the town's non-residential zoning districts and uses, with several additional amendments affecting general standards, definition of terms, supplemental use, specific standards, site plan requirements, procedural components, as well as aspects specific to residential districts and uses for continuity. And whereas their recommendations for these amendments to the town code were forwarded to the town board by the zoning review committee on or about November 14th, 2024, for the town board's review and consideration. And whereas the proposed zoning text and map amendments address many goals and recommendations of the Town of Northeast Village of Millerton Comprehensive Plan adopted in November 2019. And whereas the town board has reviewed and considered the proposed amendments in multiple workshop town board meetings. And whereas the work of the town board has been completed to the extent of the preparation of a full environmental assessment form dated October 30th, 2025, a proposed local law in draft form dated November 4th, 2025, and a proposed amended zoning map. And whereas due to the volume of the changes to the proposed amendments to the zoning code, the town board determined at a special meeting held on November 4th, 2025, that the review and adoption process would be expedited by forwarding copies of these documents in draft form to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for its preliminary review and to the Town of Northeast Planning Board for its preliminary review. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby schedules a public hearing on said local law for January 8th, 2026 at the Town of Northeast Town Hall located at 19 North Maple Avenue, Millerton, New York at 7:05 p.m. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor and or the town clerk to re-forward copies of the FEAF and draft of the proposed zoning amendments together with a copy of the recommended draft zoning amendments originally dated November 4th, 2025, as amended by the town board to facilitate review, to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development and to the Northeast Planning Board for its review of the proposed local law. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to provide notice of said public hearing to all municipalities adjoining the town of Northeast and to make copies of the said amendments to the local law and the FEAF available to the public for its review by posting a copy of this resolution on the town's notice board and on the town's official website, and to publish notice of the said public hearing in the town's official paper. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to make copies of the proposed amendments to the zoning code and part 1 of the FEAF available for inspection by the public at the town hall during regular business hours, and to provide a copy of the said documents to the Town of Northeast Public Library for additional inspection by the public during the library's regular hours, and to take such other and further steps as may be required by law to duly notice and provide for the said public hearing.
Thank you.
Just have 2 corrections on that. Where it says local law number blank, we should put in local law number B. We usually put a letter until we actually pass the law, and then we give it a number. And I think the date the document was sent on to the town board was actually earlier than the November date that you put. I don't know if Edie knows the date that it was actually
Warren,
filed.
if you look at the date carefully, you'll notice it was previous year.
The previous, okay. I didn't hear that. Okay, cool. Then we don't have to change that.
Councilwoman Winkler did notice that there is a misspelling in the third resolved. The word adjoining will be correctly spelled in the final document. With that, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Second,
Lily, would you conduct a roll call on this?
Sure. Supervisor Kennan,
Aye.
Councilman Fidele,
Aye.
Councilman Mayville,
Aye.
Councilman Morrison,
Aye.
Councilwoman Winkler.
aye.
Okay. I think the next item on this, we have there is a notice of the public hearing, but that simply is going to be posted. I think there's nothing that we've made we referred to the notice public hearing in our resolution. So the actual notice of public hearing will be posted on the website and on the bulletin boards and so on. I would also just mention in that connection that the planning board did hold its first meeting to review the proposed zoning changes last night. And they are scheduled for a second meeting to discuss and develop a comment to us, which they will do on December 3rd. There are a lot of dates that are getting thrown around at this point in the year. So with that, we have, I believe, a resolution that, language, Tilly, that, you
Mhm.
can read for us, going back to the budget,
Yeah,
for the adoption of a budget.
it-
And, sorry, what were you saying?
it's pretty soon.
Yeah, with those changes, those two changes that we made after the public hearing. We have the summary of the fiscal budget that has been prepared, and I would like Tilly to read that. It's one line, I
It
think,
is,
right?
right. Resolution to adopt the 2026 budget. A motion to adopt the 2026 Town of Northeast budget was made by,
Right, okay, so
and
with
then a roll
that,
call.
we are now ready to adopt the 2026 budget for the town of Northeast. And I would welcome a motion to adopt the 2026 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Tilly, roll call.
Supervisor Kennen,
Aye.
Councilman Morrison,
Aye.
Councilman Fideli,
Aye.
Councilman Mayville,
Aye.
Councilman Winkler.
Aye.
Okay. Well, I think that brings us to the end of those items. With that, public comment. Anybody have any public comment for this evening?
I have a public comment.
Yes, sir.
It's been a year and a half since I first asked Supervisor.
Could you
Ken
just identify yourself, please?
My name is Tyler Grant. I live on Cooper Road. Is this gonna be cut out of my time or?
Go ahead.
It's been a year and a half since I first asked Supervisor Kennan one straightforward question. Why isn't zoning being enforced on Cooper Road? As you will notice, after I make my statement, he will not respond. But my original question wasn't theoretical. There's an illegally constructed house on our road. The structure the town of Northeast litigated for over more than a decade, from around 2005 through 2018. The town won. The courts confirmed the town's authority to enforce its zoning laws. And yet since then, nothing has been done. When I asked what that litigation costs the taxpayers, the town delayed for months. After multiple FOIL requests and illegal extensions, I finally received what they called a response, a 20-year document dump of legal invoices with no explanation, no indexing, and no accounting of what the public actually paid. When I asked for clarification, I received nothing. That level of secrecy isn't clerical oversight, it's a breakdown of public accountability. During the same period, when I first reached out to the supervisor about zoning, there was also a second house on our road, only a short distance from the illegal house. The second house became known as the drug house. It was directly across the street from our house. There were 4 overdoses at that address from a few months before I first reached out to the supervisor until earlier this year. I now own a bunch of guns, security cameras, spending now multiple tens of thousands in security operations, many of which I'd not like to discuss here. In May, a dealer was arrested coming out of Freshtown in Amenia, found with 150 bags of fentanyl and more than 1 ounce of crack cocaine, who was reported to have lived there. I'm sure you all heard about this. My wife and I live on this road with our 2 toddlers, and there are many other families with toddlers as well. People are afraid to speak publicly because there have been death threats and actual gunfire aimed at residents. That is the environment we've been living in. And through all of it, the person charged with protecting this community has been absolutely silent. The only time the supervisor addressed us directly was last fall at the opening of the new town garage, when he told several of us that he had heard that the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office no longer serviced our road. if he said that to us, it's reasonable to believe he said it to others. And if that message spread, that law enforcement wouldn't respond here. It's equally reasonable to believe the people operating that drug house heard it too. That's not leadership, that's negligence. It sends exactly the wrong signal to the wrong people. The sheriff was beyond outraged. Now let's talk about the illegal house, because the failures there go beyond zoning. I recently contacted the Dutchess County Department of Health to verify whether that property ever had an approved septic system. Their answer, the only record on file is a proposed plan from 1990 for a previous owner, never approved for construction, never inspected, and never approved to operate. And here's where it becomes personal. We've since purchased the drug house, and we have a well that's about 700 feet from where maybe a septic, if it exists, would be. I made the mistake that's been the most terrifying year of my life by buying a house in the town of Northeast. And the only reason that we purchased a second home was to try to protect ourselves. So for 20 years, a large single family home has potentially polluted I don't know how many homes on our road, because we all live on well water. Every house, this isn't abstract, it's a direct public health threat that would not exist if the town had enforced its own zoning laws. It still has a chance to do so. But the same silence defines how the supervisor treats the Freedom of Information law. My request for his official outgoing emails, which are our taxpayer public records, has now dragged on since May. First, there was a delay for 60 days, then 90 days, and now it's just complete silence. The town's been inventing timelines that don't exist in the statute, claimed exemptions that don't apply, and ultimately stopped responding altogether. It's not compliance, it's contempt for the taxpayer's right to know. And this pattern repeats everywhere. The supervisor illegally used the Monroe balancing test to acquire the land for the town garage and the town hall, a tool only allowed when it's two government entities fighting against each other. He used it to illegally override zoning. It was retroactively applied in the case of the garage construction. Any residential plot anywhere near either of these properties can sue the town and win for lots of money. Some knuckleheads in East Hampton tried this year ago and it got shut down, and anyone can Google this. These are just basic facts. The Monroe balancing test comes from the 1988 Court of Appeals case, matter of County of Monroe versus the City of Rochester. The ruling makes one thing explicitly clear: a municipality can only bypass local zoning when it is acting purely in a governmental capacity, and only after performing a full, transparent balancing of public interest, weighing the benefit of the project against the local zoning impacts. The process requires formal findings, notice, and a reasoned analysis. It cannot be used to advance a proprietary project, to shortcut procedures, or to avoid public scrutiny. In Northeast's case, no such balancing analysis was ever performed. No findings were issued, and no public records exist. The supervisor simply declared the town exempt from its own zoning and proceeded as though the law didn't apply. That is the opposite of what Monroe requires. Under the law, an exemption without a proper balancing analysis is not an exemption. It is abuse of authority. Now,
Mr. Graham, your 4 minutes have gone way beyond. Could you please wrap it up?
yeah. Yes, I am. This is about a pattern of behavior that treats law process. But the thing is that it's obvious that you're gonna cut me off, because that's what you've been doing for a year. So it's like every time that you cut
I
me
didn't
off.
cut you off 2 minutes ago. I let you go.
I did not go over 4 minutes.
No, you're at 6 and 19 seconds right now.
Okay. I would say, I'll end this way. I say we live on Cooper Road, but I think it would be more appropriately called the Jeffrey Epstein Road. The last time I attended one of these meetings and made public comments, magically the camera was not working and the comments could not be displayed to the public taxpayers. I hope that doesn't happen again tonight. It's time for Chris Kennan to be removed from office, and this is barely scratching the surface. Feel free for anyone to reach out to me at 917-226-1257 if you have experienced anything remotely like the hell that we've been living through on Cooper Road and the silence from the supervisor.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from meetings of September 11th, October 9th, and November 4th. Could I know that the one that was on the agenda originally was the October 9th, but we have two other sets of minutes of September 11th and November 4th. They were distributed to the board. And if you've all had a chance to look at them, I would entertain a motion to approve those three sets of minutes.
Yeah, Meg made some corrections and I did resend them this afternoon. So,
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, you saw that.
well, with those corrections,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are going to go into executive session for the purpose of hearing the litigation which the assessor has proposes a resolution for. So with that, I would
I'll also point out that everything that happens.
I would
down
like
to
to
the
ask-
executive section.
I would like to ask for a motion to exit regular session and go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With that.
Assuming
I
you don't
would-
need me for the executive session?
Yeah, yes, we don't.
Okay, all right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Aye.
See you soon.
Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving.